have you ever stopped to think about what connects nearly 500 million people around the world? Well, for many of them, it's the Spanish language. So today, let's dive into the incredible story of its global reach. Okay, let's just start with a number that's, well, it's pretty massive. We're talking about nearly 500 million Spanish speakers worldwide. That's not just a language, it's a gigantic global community. And it's not just spoken widely, it's also formally recognized. Spanish is the official language in 20 different countries. That really gives you a sense of its incredible footprint on the world map. So where did this all begin? Well, the language we call Spanish, or sometimes Castilian, got its start way back on the Iberian Peninsula, right there in Spain. But as we know, it didn't stay there for long. And I mean, just look at this list. It's spoken in Europe, of course, but also all across the Americas, from North to South, Central America, and the Caribbean, and even in Africa. It's a language that truly connects continents. Now, let's bring things a little closer to home, especially for those of us in the United States. You might think you know which countries have the most Spanish speakers, but I think you might be in for a little surprise here. Okay, check this out. No surprise that Mexico is at the top of the list, but look at what's in the middle. That's right, the United States actually has more Spanish speakers than Spain itself. This makes the US the second largest Spanish-speaking country on the entire planet. Kinda wild, right? But here's the thing, Spanish isn't just one single rigid language. Just like with English, if you travel around, you're going to notice it has all these different regional personalities, its own unique flavors. You know, these little quirks developed over centuries, influenced by local cultures and history, but they pretty much all boil down to these three main things: the words people use, their accent, and a few tiny tweaks in the grammar. So let's take a quick tour and look at some simple examples of how these variations play out in the real world. First up, vocabulary. Simple words for everyday things. So, you want to talk about your computer? Well, in most of Latin America, you'd call it la computadora, but if you're in Spain, you're probably going to hear el ordenador. Same thing, totally different word. Alright, next up, accents. And this one is probably the most famous difference of all. It's how you pronounce the letter Z. In Latin America, the word for shoe, zapato, sounds just like it starts with an S, zapato. But in a lot of Spain, they use a th sound, so it comes out like zapato. And finally, a little touch of grammar. How do you say you when you're talking to a group of people? Well, in Spain, you have two options, a formal ustedes and an informal vosotros. But in Latin America, they keep it simple. They just use ustedes for everybody, whether it's formal or informal. So with all these differences in words and sounds, you might be thinking, wait, can everyone even understand each other? And the answer to that really gets to the heart of what makes Spanish so special. And this right here is the main takeaway. Even with all these little variations, the core of the language is so solid that hundreds of millions of people have no problem communicating with each other every single day, all across the globe. To put it simply, it doesn't matter if you're from Madrid or Mexico City, you're all part of the same global conversation. The level of understanding between speakers is just incredibly high. So, what does this all mean? It means there's this vibrant, diverse, and deeply connected world out there, all linked by this one beautiful language. 500 million people are waiting. The only question is, who will you talk to?